Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. Before I get into it, I'd just like to suggest visiting my Patreon page. The link is in the description under this video, where you can learn how to support, or not support if you don't want to, my animated dinosaur series, which I'm currently working on, called Dino Defenders Extreme. The link is in the description below, as I've just mentioned, so there we go. Anyway guys, enjoy my video. Hey guys, and welcome to my top 10 pieces of Jurassic Park merchandise list. Now I just want to say right off the bat that I will not be including the two books by Michael Crichton in this list, mainly because I don't personally see those books as merchandise. I see them as the source material where it all began. So they're not like offshoots. They can't be offshoots of their own thing. So as much as I think those books are absolutely amazing, they don't make this list. This is more for extra pieces of items that came out after the films were released and the success of the movies. So anyway, let's get started. Number 10, my Island Tour t-shirt. So this t-shirt was given to me back in 1993 when the film first came out, and it was way too big for me back then, but I have since grown into it, and even to this day it still fits me, and I do wear it from time to time, even though it's quite old and the pictures on it are quite cracked and it's a little bit moth-eaten in places, but I really love this t-shirt, mainly because not only was it a t-shirt that came out at the time, so it's you can't get any more legit than this t-shirt, but I really like that it's like a piece of merchandise that you would actually get from the park. It says Island Tour on it, and it has a map of the park on the back with all the proposed paddocks that they were going to build, and it even says Costa Rica, California down the bottom. But yeah, it's a really cool piece of merchandise, and I had to have it in this list. Number 9, the Jurassic Park 3 size comparison poster. So I managed to pick this up actually about a year and a half ago now, maybe a little bit longer than that. It's something I saw when I was younger, when Jurassic Park 3 was all the rage, and I always wanted it because I love the idea of a size comparison poster, and the fact that this was an actual poster for the movie I thought was really cool. And seeing this thing in real life, the detail on these ILM renders are I think they're quite understated. I don't think too many people talk about how detailed these renders are on this poster when you actually have it in person. Now I know some of the sizes on this poster are up for conjecture, I mean mainly with the T-Rex, but it's a really nice poster to have in anyone's collection. But I like having it on the wall mainly because when I do research for Jurassic Park and stuff, it's nice to have this sort of really clean looking lineup of all the dinosaurs from the third movie, and and just see them in all their glory. So, and it's a really big poster, it's quite long. So yeah, I just really love this piece of merchandise. Number 8, my Lost World poster from 1997. So this poster was actually something that I got the day I saw The Lost World, and I have it framed, and I've had it framed now for some years, and it's very ripped and torn and very old. So I remember picking this up in the lobby when I was walking up the ramp into the Hollywood Cinema in Lowestoft to go see The Lost World. Along the seafront there was this little cinema that I went to go see The Lost World, and this is where I picked up the poster, and it's one of those things I've treasured for years, and I just remember seeing that T-Rex eye looking through the jungle when I was walking up the ramp on the poster, and I was like, oh my word, I can't believe I'm seeing the sequel to Jurassic Park. So this holds a lot of nostalgic memories for me, and I wouldn't have made this list without it. Number 7, the Lost World Jurassic Park official souvenir magazine. Now, I remember getting this as a kid, the day and everything, being at the post office, seeing it on the shelf and going, oh, I wonder what magazine is covering Jurassic Park this time, and then picking it up and realising this is an entire magazine dedicated just to the Lost World. So I begged Mum to get it, and she did. And I always look back on this thing, for nostalgic reasons, and also to, remind myself of that time period by reading, what they said about the second film in the pages of this magazine, which has actually seen better days. Some of the pages are falling out, some of them are ripped and torn, but I just thought it was really cool that they had a whole magazine dedicated to to the Lost World, and when I was younger, I flicked the pages over and saw that bull T-Rex, and my mind was blown. I was like, wow, wait a second, there's another T-Rex toy out there? I'd heard of the Thrasher T-Rex, but I'd not heard of the bull T-Rex, and unfortunately that was actually never released in the UK, so I never got that until I was an adult. But this magazine was special to me because I got to see it then and there, and also it even had a few pages on the making of the game and the behind the scenes of the actual making of some of the action figures, which I thought was really cool back in the day. But now, like as an adult, I can see that this magazine would have been very controversial had it been released today, because it actually spoilt the entire film pretty much with the whole story. And I remember actually picking this up before the film came out, so I would have had a lot of things spoilt for me as a kid. However, it didn't actually dawn on me that they had two T-Rexes in the pictures. I thought this was just like, two animatronics of the same T-Rex, but then obviously I was very young, so seeing the film and then seeing two T-Rexes, I was like, oh, I remember now. There was two T-Rexes, and it sort of blew my mind because I wasn't expecting that. But this magazine is it's something special because, as I've said, it was a whole magazine dedicated to the Lost World, and it's one of my favourite pieces of merchandise because I've managed to look after it all this time, and I just think it's a really cool piece to own. Number 6, the Lost World Games soundtrack by Michael Giacchino. Now, this is something, again, that I've gotten within the last 5 years, and it's something that I love the soundtrack to the video game by Michael Giacchino. Now, I could have added in all the soundtracks from the films in this list, but I actually thought, this for me trumps them all because it's a soundtrack that I didn't realise for a long time that you could get it as a CD aside from the game. And just listening to it and knowing where Michael Giacchino is now, it's a very I think it's a very special album to listen to, and he did wonders with a video game soundtrack. I believe it was also the first video game to ever use a huge live orchestra to do its recording. So there's that. But when you watch like Jurassic World and you hear him homaging his own video game soundtrack, it just makes this soundtrack all the more special to me, and I think having it on its own CD is something that is very unique to what I have in my collection, and I really like it. Number 5, Jurassic Park Adventures Survivor. Now, again, this is something that I've gotten recently within the last 2 years. When I was a kid, I always wondered, like, what adventures did Eric get up to on the island? Now, they actually, and I didn't know for the longest time that they'd actually released a book that accounted this. So I'm not counting the other 2 adventure stories in this part of the list. Flyers and Prey are, they're okay for like expanded media, but Survivor is actually, I think, a really crucial part of Jurassic Park history that I believe should actually get a re-released because this is Eric's account of his 8 weeks on Sauna before he's rescued by Alan Grant and his parents in Jurassic Park 3, and it gets crazy at some points, and it tells its own story, much like the new book, the Evolution of Claire. It has its own story to tell. But I really think it's an interesting and crucial part of the Jurassic Park lore. You learn some things about Isla Sorna. You learn how Eric survived and his troubles on the island. And for that, and reading it recently, I really appreciate that they actually released this in some form of media. So I'm glad I've got it part of my collection. If you can pick it up anywhere, I would highly recommend it. It's just a really neat piece to have as a part of the Jurassic Park history. And so it definitely made this list for me. Number 4, The Making of Jurassic Park and the Lost World books by Jodie Duncan. These 2 are very infamous books in the Jurassic Park fandom, because this is the only time that we've ever gotten making of books like this. I don't think we even got one for Jurassic Park 3, and so I think like nowadays these are sort of really sought after for like the newer films. I think people really want to see something like this for the newer films that are coming out, and so to actually have these 2 for the original film and its sequel, are really special at this time because they're very unique in that sense, and they're so detailed and full of rich history and like how they made the movies, with really cool pictures, and including like a whole section of storyboards in the first book. For any Jurassic Park fan, these are definitely a must-have, because you learn all about how they made these movies, and in great detail. And I think they go into way more detail than what the actual making of documentaries do on the DVDs and Blu-rays. So these books are really, really important if you're a Jurassic Park fan looking to learn about how it all went down in the early days and how they made the movies. So and to have these books as pieces of merchandise that you could buy are really, really cool. Number 3, the Jurassic World Blu-ray. Now, the reason I'm putting this Blu-ray on the list is because, because of the design more than anything. I love this sort of stone look with the tin and the scratch marks and the blue Jurassic World logo. It has a very classic sort of Jurassic look to this Blu-ray. Now, I personally have stuck stickers on the back of mine, showcasing Claire releasing the T-Rex and the raptors coming out to hunt the Indominus. Because I basically feel like they're very two important moments in the actual film itself. But to own this film on Blu-ray after a 14-year wait of no Jurassic Park 4 instantly made this one of my favourite pieces of merchandise that I own. I mean, not only did I really, really love Jurassic World, but to actually own Jurassic Park 4 after all that time was something really special. And buying this Blu-ray and bringing it home, I got a little bit choked up. I was like, oh, that's it's Jurassic Park 4 finally. Like, wow, I never thought this day would come. So owning Jurassic Park 4 and Jurassic World on Blu-ray is something special, and so yeah, it was very high up on this list for me. Number 2, the Big Red Rex. Obviously, I had to include some of the Kenner toys in this list at some point, but I only wanted to pick one, and there's no other comparison with the Jurassic Park toys. It was definitely the Big Red Rex. This thing is, as many people have said, this thing is so impressive. Obviously, it was molded from one of the Stan Winston maquettes, so it's like a true piece of Jurassic Park history. And I don't know how many are out there now, like to buy. On eBay and Amazon and all that. They're probably super expensive, but if you can pick one of these up, they are sort of a must-have for Jurassic Park fans. And yeah, it definitely had to make this list, and very high up on the list as well. And number 1, my Jurassic Park and the Lost World VHS tapes. Now, these two are my most treasured pieces of Jurassic Park merchandise, mainly because these two, and I couldn't split them up, but these two were watched religiously at my house by myself when I was younger. Whenever I played with the toys, I'd always have it on in the background, and I used to watch it over and over again. But I think the opening of the VHS tapes are very nostalgic to me, like the adverts that they have before it and stuff, because it got me very excited to see the films that I'd put on. But unfortunately now I can't really watch these anymore because my VHS player recently died. It ended up chewing up my copy of Destroy All Monsters, the Godzilla film, and luckily I've got that film now on DVD. But the VHS sadly perished. So I haven't been able to watch these in a while, and I don't know if I actually ever will put these into a VHS player again. Maybe one day when I'm older or something and I just really want to have a step back in time and see what they're like. But there's always that worry that you put them into the VHS player and it chews the tapes and then you've lost it forever. So for now these tapes are in working condition, and I don't know if I will ever watch them again, like I said, but they're very special to me. And my copy of The Lost World actually has a little golden blob on it, which is actually a signature by Harvey Jason, who played RJ in The Lost World. I got him to sign my copy, but I had to put the films themselves as number 1 on this list, and what better format to put them in as the format that I watched them when I was younger, which was the VHS tapes. And and that is my list. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Please subscribe to my channel, like and comment below what are your top 10 pieces of Jurassic Park merchandise. I'd love to hear what your list is made of. So Thank you for watching, guys, and remember to visit my Patreon to help with my dinosaur animated series. See you later.